we're going to talk about how to free yourself from a narcissistic person. So how many times do they have to break your peace before you finally admit that loving them is costing you way too much? And this is where your freedom is going to start today. Not when they apologize, not when they change for 2 days, not when they come back crying, not when they finally understand. Freedom is going to start when you tell yourself the truth that this relationship has been draining you, the truth that you keep hoping for a version of them that only shows up when they are about to lose control of you. The truth that every time you go back, you lose a little more of yourself trying to hold on to someone who keeps hurting you. And see, that truth hurts, but it will save you. First, understand this. A narcissistic person does not just want love. They want access. Access to your emotions, access to your attention, access to your forgiveness, access to your body, your time, your energy, your softness, your hope. And the reason it is so hard to leave is because they do not always treat you badly all the time. Sometimes they are sweet, and sometimes they say the right things, and sometimes they act like they finally get it. Sometimes they pull you close right when you're about to walk away. That is what keeps people stuck. You're not only attached to the pain, you're attached to the possibility that the good side of them will finally stay. But with a narcissistic person, the good moments are often bait and it's not stability. Here's how you free yourself. 1, stop waiting for the closure from them. One of the biggest traps is thinking if they would just admit what they did, if they would just apologize properly, if they would just tell the truth. But see, a narcissistic person often does not give clean closure. They dodge it, they lie, they blame, they twist the story, and they make you the villain for reacting to what they did. So if you keep waiting for them to validate your pain, you may stay stuck for a long time. Because freedom begins when you accept this, that closure is not always getting answers. Sometimes closure is accepting the pattern. The disrespect was the answer. The lies were the answer. The manipulation was the answer. The way they kept hurting you and then acting confused by your pain was the answer. And then 2, stop confusing love with attachment. This part is hard. Sometimes you're not still there because it is healthy love. Sometimes you're still there because you got emotionally attached to the cycle. The highs feel high and the lows feel devastating. The small moments of affection feel huge because you have been starving for that peace. That can make chaos feel addictive. Example, they ignore you, mistreat you, start fighting, disappear, and make you feel small. And then one night they call, act sweet, say they miss you, and suddenly your whole body relaxes and you feel relief and think, this is all that I wanted. But that is not the peace. That is not the peace you need. That's just temporary relief after emotional stress. Do not mistake the relief for healthy love. And then 3, set a boundary and keep it. A narcissistic person often does not respect soft boundaries. If you say, please stop hurting me, they may hear it, but keep going. If you say, I need honesty, they may promise it and still lie. That's why boundaries are not just words, they are decisions. And a real boundary sounds like this. Now, if you lie again, I'm done. I will not keep arguing about what I know I experienced. You do not get access to me after disrespect. I am not explaining myself over and over to someone committed to misunderstanding me. And see, the hardest part is keeping the boundaries after they test you, because they often will. They may come back charming, and they may come back angry. They may come back acting hurt. They may come back suddenly changed. But if every return pulls you back into that same damage, that is not reconciliation, that is recycling pain. And then 4, cut off the things that keep you emotionally hooked. See, sometimes people say they want freedom, but they keep leaving the door cracked open. You're still checking their page. You're still answering late night messages. You're still letting them explain. You're still asking mutual friends about them. You're still rereading old messages, still replaying the good memories while ignoring the real damage that has already occurred. And that keeps the bond alive. You do not free yourself by feeding the attachment every day. And sometimes that freedom looks like deleting the thread, blocking the number, muting their page, stopping the secret check-ins, not responding just because they reached out. This is not being cold. This is you protecting your healing. 5, let yourself grieve the fantasy. A lot of people are not only grieving the person, they're grieving the dream, the future they pictured, the version of the relationship they kept fighting for, the person they hoped this narcissist would become. This grief is real. You may not even miss how they actually treated you. You may miss who they were in the beginning, who they promised they would be, or who you kept hoping they would turn into. This is why leaving can feel so confusing. You do not just walk away from a person. You're walking away from a fantasy you invested real emotions into. So cry if you need to. Be angry if you need to. Mourn it honestly. Do not confuse grieving the dream with needing to go back. And then 6, rebuild your relationship with yourself. A narcissistic relationship can make you lose touch with yourself. You stop trusting your gut. You stop liking who you became. You stop listening to your own needs. And you start measuring your worth by whether they choose you. That's why healing is not just leaving them. It is returning to yourself. So start asking yourself, what did I stop doing when I was trying to keep them? What parts of me got smaller in this relationship? What did my body feel that I kept ignoring? What standards did I lower just to avoid losing them? Freedom gets stronger when you start honoring yourself. And then 7, tell the truth even if it embarrasses you. A lot of people stay stuck because they are ashamed. Ashamed that they stayed, ashamed that they ignored the red flags, ashamed they kept going back, ashamed other people warned them. But see, shame keeps you silent, and silent keeps you trapped. Be honest with yourself. This relationship has been breaking me. I kept hoping, but hope has not changed his patterns or her patterns. I am not crazy. I have been manipulated. I deserve a love that does not keep hurting me. See, because the truth is uncomfortable, but lies are what kept you stuck. And here's the truth. You do not free yourself from a narcissistic person by getting them to understand your pain. You free yourself by understanding that they have shown you enough. Enough lies, enough blame, enough disrespect, enough emotional confusion, enough broken trust, enough chances. And at some point, healing is no longer about convincing them to do right. It's about deciding that you are done letting their dysfunction become your home. And here's the lesson. Freedom begins the moment you stop trying to be loved correctly by someone committed to loving you wrong. That is just the truth. You cannot save a relationship by sacrificing your sanity. You cannot heal while staying attached to the thing that keeps reopening the wound. And you cannot build peace with someone who needs you confused to keep access to you. So I want you to ask yourself, are you really in love with them? Or are you trapped in the hope that one day they'll finally become safe to love? That's the question that can change your life, because the strongest thing you may ever do is stop begging for the bare minimum, stop chasing explanations, and finally choose the version of you that deserves that peace over the person who keeps stealing it. And that is how you begin to free yourself.